Well, welcome in. That is Riku Mukherjee. I am Tony Altieri. And Rick, it's been a couple weeks, man, since the British Open. Since we got Brian Harmon at the Open, I've decided I was going to cash in my podcasting chips because I can't stand him. But it's been a while since we've been back, man. And it's been kind of a bad run for us on the betting and DFS side, too. It's like when we're not talking through all this stuff and doing the show, it's really hard to put together some strong lineups or put together a solid betting card. But it's good to see you again, man.
You too, man. One Hobbit wins a major championship, and we just give up, right?
God, dude. I mean, you like Harmon.
I
like
like
him. Yeah, I can't jump on that bandwagon. I there's something about him I don't like. I multiple times in the Discord and in our text messages and everything else, I was like, he's gonna fade. Don't worry, he's gonna fade. And the dude just nailed it. So I got to give him his props, but whatever.
I just think that that course was just absolutely perfectly set up for him. He doesn't hit it far enough where he would reach trouble, like in some situations, bunkers and stuff in the fairway. I think he got in like maybe one or two bunkers the whole week, and he just hit every fairway. And then we know Brian Harmon and his putting, like him and his massive putter that he uses, like he can just get
satellite dish.
Yeah, the satellite dish. He can literally get hot with that thing at any time, and that's what he did. He literally made everything inside 12 feet, and I mean that won him a major championship. Good for him. I mean I like the guy. I think he's a good player. I don't really agree with some of the stuff that he does off the course. He does a lot of hunting and killing animals and stuff like that, but that's his thing. I'm not a fan of that, but yeah, I mean on the course he's a good player, and yeah, good for him. He won a major. Haven't hit a winner since before that. With we've been on a little cold streak since we were hot for a while.
Yeah, you and I we had like an 11-week run where one of us was hitting a winner, and we were calling it on our cards and on our show, and then it all ended when Harmon won the Open. And then basically the next two events from there, you and I have kind of been in our pockets the last two. And again, they've been, I wouldn't necessarily say subfield events because there's more of an emphasis this year with the Wyndham and the prior event at the 3M where we had a little bit better fields because guys were trying to play their way into the FedEx Cup, because instead of 125 guys playing the St. Jude, we're down to 70, which was all kind of, I guess, the exclamation point was watching Justin Thomas like almost chip one in on the 72nd hole to get inside the top 70 and make it in. And of course he didn't, but yeah, to your point, like we were, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, I was nowhere near the leaderboard at the 3M or at the Wyndham. A lot of the guys that were there, the models, the statistical models, they were in the top. And the other thing is just guys trending, right? Like Lucas Glover's, it seemed like there's been a run this year of guys who just have been playing really, really, really well all year, and then they finally get their win. And it was kind of Glover's turn on the carousel this last week at the Wyndham.
Yeah, I don't really remember my betting card for the 3M, which Lee Hodges won wire to wire. I didn't have any Lee Hodges. I know you had a lot of them in DFS, but
yeah, not on the card though.
Yeah, not on the card. I did have a Ben Ann ticket last week at the Wyndham, so I was sweating Ben Ann a little bit, and he was playing lights out for most of the week. So yeah, man, Lucas Glover did what he needed to do, and Russell Henley does what he always does, and he imploded off the stretch. That was amazing to see. Like after they came out of that weather delay or whatever, he just like imploded. And I wish I could say it's something that we don't see from Russell Henley, but we see it from him all the time, man. The guy like literally imploded at this event like 2 years ago when he should have won. And that's just Russell Henley's thing. I think he's just like a Sunday choker. We've seen him, get caught from behind from things like Hideki at the Sony. And he's imploded here. He did win earlier this year. Where did he win? Houston or something like that?
In Houston.
Yeah, he won an event earlier this year, but I mean that's a fall event. That pretty shitty field. Who cares about that? But in this situation, I mean, he had this tournament in the bag, and he just completely imploded on Sunday.
Yeah, the bummer was he really hadn't played terribly until they had the stoppage. And it was like all of a sudden we came out of this 2-hour rain delay, and it was like every bad break that he could possibly get, whether it was a lie or where his ball, ended up position-wise, like the dude was in his pocket the last 4 holes, and it cost him. And Glover just continued to hit fairways and hit greens and just kind of did what he had to do, to your point, to come out on top. And he had been trending for so many weeks where the ball striking had just been phenomenal. And the big difference this year, and it was highlighted a bunch of times during the broadcast, is just the putting has been great. He had one bad week at the 3M. Everybody jumped off, and then he won the next week. And
yeah, he's been striping the ball really well all season, and that's something that Lucas Glover has always done. He's always been a good ball striker, but it's just his putting has been terrible. But then he switched to this broomstick style putter. I think he made the change like last month or maybe 2 months ago, and ever since then he's been gaining strokes to the field every week putting, and been playing good golf. I like him this week, to be completely honest with you. I don't see him slowing down at FedEx this week. So, yeah, man, good for him. He got a win. His wife is not going to beat his ass this week, and that's all we can really.
Is he still married to her? Because
yeah,
his kids were at the
tournament.
Yeah. His kids were at the tournament. His parents were at the tournament. I did not see his wife at the tournament.
His wife was at home, getting ready with the whip to beat his ass if he didn't win the tournament if he got home.
That dude will never live that down. I mean, again, I'm not making fun of domestic violence, but that story will live in infamy forever, dude, forever.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, good for him, man. Ready for the playoffs. It's been I can't. Has it ever been 2 events of playoffs before the tour championship? I can't remember the last time it was. It's always been 3 events, right? So it's weird having.
Typically it's been, this event has been 125 man, basically invitational, right? So the field's been much larger. There's typically was a cut. This is the first year that we're going to have a non-cut event. To your point, we go from this to the BMW, which is 50 guys and straight in the tour championship. Usually we have 3 events that kind of lead up into this. But it's the first time really where we're going to see it's an elevated event, so the payouts are quadrupled, all those things. To be honest with you, I love Memphis. Like, I love this course. This is JT. He won this event twice. Hideki's won here. Brooks has won here. Like, guys that we like and follow, this is a course where they tend to play well.
We got to talk about Will Zalatoris last year, man.
Will Z. Everybody hit Will Z last year.
Won my huge ticket last year. Yeah. I was in Ireland at the time doing Chris's bachelor party, and we were raging at a bar watching Will Zalatoris make putts and beat your boy Sepp Straka in a playoff.
Yeah, that's right. Straka, I think it went to 3 playoff holes, and Straka put it in the water on the 3rd playoff hole, basically ended it.
Yeah.
But it's a good event, and I think the one thing that I would say is it's what we typically see here is it's a ball striker's course. Like, you don't have to be a great putter. I named off a bunch of dudes, JT, Hideki, that have won here, Will Z, that are just immaculate ball strikers that can't putt, and those guys just tend to show up and win here. So it's the kind of event that you and I like to play and where a lot of our favorites are. But before we jump into that, I did want to talk about 2 other things. One, Ryder Cup. The Ryder Cup's coming up, dude. Like, it's in a month and a half. And from all of the outside things, there seems to be I guess it really depends. But let's say there's really 10 guys that are kind of locked in. I was looking at the standings before we jumped on, and there's really 1 or 2, I would say, open spots or spots that are up for debate, right? So in looking at the standings specifically for the U.S. team, the European team is different. That is what it is. The back half of that team is trash. But again, they're in Europe, so they're going to play well. But for the U.S. team, you've got Scheffler, Wyndham Clark, Harmon, Brooks Koepka, Xander Schauffele, Cantlay. Those guys are locked in. Those 6 guys via points.
I think you can also say Jordan Spieth's locked in, Max Homa's locked in. I think those guys are definitely going to be on the team. I can't see them leaving off Colin Morikawa off this team either.
Yep.
So what's that?
Fowler's the other guy to me. They're going to take Fowler.
Yeah, Fowler's a lock. So that's 10 guys right there that we think are absolute locks on the team.
Yep.
The other 2 spots, we'll see what happens. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about Justin Thomas in this situation. He's been struggling all year. Does he deserve a spot on the team? I absolutely do not think he deserves a spot on this team. I think he's been absolute trash, hot garbage all year. Not only has he not won an event this year, he literally hasn't sniffed a leaderboard on Sunday or contested in an event all season. So I don't think he deserves to be on this team. He's probably still going to be on the team because, Jordan Spieth has this seniority thing where he's going to be I'm undefeated with Justin Thomas or whatever at the Ryder Cup as teams. We got to have him on the team. Me and him have good camaraderie. Whatever, dude. Just put the guys on there that deserve to be on there. I think somebody like Denny or Keegan or somebody like that. Sam Burns even deserves to be on the team more than Justin Thomas.
Well, I mean, I think there's two different pieces here. To your point, who deserves based off of merit and how they've played this year and last year, right? And that's the important thing that we have to factor in is this is every 2 years. So to your point, Justin Thomas hasn't been great this year. Last year he was okay. He was like normal Justin Thomas. I can't remember where he got his win, but he won last year. This year, different story. So
he won the PGA Championship last year.
That's right. He won the PGA. So you kind of have to look at it. It's really easy to fall into this trap where it's like recency bias. Like, what has he done this year? How's he played? Because you're right. Like the last 4 months for him have been just absolutely abysmal, but we have to take that full body of work over 2 years. And if you look at the standings, he's only a couple points out. I want to say he's like 15th or 16th. He's right behind Fowler. You've got Finau, Cam Young, all those guys in the mix there too. And the only thing that I would say is if you look at Justin Thomas's Ryder Cup record, the dude is 16-5-3. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And again, I don't really have a dog in the fight. Like if they decide like, hey, we're going to bring him because Jordan wants him here and he's basically a pseudo vice captain and his record's great. Like I'm okay with that argument, but I do see the other side of the coin, which is what you're talking about, which is you've got some guys that really have played well and deserve an opportunity. I mean, Keegan's won twice this year, and he's playing the best golf of his career. And you've got Sam Burns, who won at the match play 5-6 months ago or whatever it was. So you've got some guys on here that it's like, one of these guys might get slighted, and it's kind of like, man, can you imagine leaving a guy who won the PGA Tour's signature match play event, which is what the Ryder Cup is, leaving him off, or potentially leaving a guy who's won twice this year. And again, the thing about Keegan is if Keegan wins one of these events, like these next 2 weeks,
you can't leave him off.
I mean, like other than John Rahm, he's won he's won more events than anybody else. And like he legitimately could win this week or next week. And that's the part about it to me.
Yeah, absolutely. He's won a BMW championship in the past, so there's no counting him out. He's been hitting the ball great this year. Let's just hypothetically say Keegan doesn't win this week or next week. Let's just hypothetically say Cam Young doesn't win this week or next week. If some of these bubble guys don't win this week or next week, or the Tour Championship for that matter, I really can't imagine Zach Johnson's going to leave JT and Tony Finau off this team.
He's going to take one of the two.
I think he's going to take both at that point. If the 10 guys that we talked about earlier are the 10 guys that we think are locks, I just can't imagine those last two spots aren't JT and Tony Finau, which I mean kind of sucks. I mean, I'd like to see some new blood in there. I don't know how you feel about that, but I think there's guys that deserve it more than those two guys. Those two guys have not been playing good golf this year, man.
I would say this. Again, full body of work, 2 years. Finau won twice on tour last year, right? So. Yeah. Considering that, the thing is, I don't think he takes both Finau and Justin Thomas. I think it's one or the other. So I think one of those guys makes the team, and then the other guy is either Keegan or Burns. And to the point that you are making, I think Keegan probably deserves it more than Burns at this point in time. But again, if either one of those guys win one of these two events, Keegan or Burns, to me, they're a lock for the Ryder Cup team.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Okay, let's just hypothetically say that there's no way that Zach Johnson is leaving Justin Thomas off this team.
Okay, so he takes the other one. That leaves one spot.
Pretty sure Justin Thomas is going to take that 11th spot on the team. Who is that last guy? Is it? I mean, let's just say that none of these guys win an event the next 2 weeks. If somebody wins an event the next 2 weeks, I think you have to put him on the team as that last guy. But I mean, there's Cam Young. I mean, he's 8th in points. There's Keegan, who's 10th in points. Sam Burns, 12th. Denny at 15. Kitayama, who won a big time event earlier this year. Willsey is also not going to play, but yeah, man. Russell Henley, who we were just talking about. I mean, he's been playing good golf this year. It's got to be Keegan, right? I think it's got to be Keegan.
Yeah, I think if to use your math, JT's in. I think Keegan is the automatic 12th guy in. And to your point, that leaves Finau, Burns off the list. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if I'm Burns, Finau, or any of these other names on this list, I have to win this week. Like this, I need to show up. Because, like even Taylor Moore's probably going to end up being Rookie of the Year this year, I believe. He won an event earlier. Is he a rookie this year?
He's not a rookie. He
Hold on,
played
let's
last
take a
year.
look at
Yeah.
the rookie standings. See, PGA, now we got to look this up. PGA Tour rookie standings. This is why the internet is fun. Okay, so Aberg is the guy who has the most points according to this. Okay, but that's because he's number one from the PGA Tour University.
Yeah, I think you're confusing Taylor Moore with Taylor
Montgomery. Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking Taylor Montgomery.
So out of the guys that are rookies this year, I think the people that are in contention for Rookie of the Year are Aberg, Eric Cole.
Cole.
Ben Griffin, who's made the top 70. Vincent Norman, who won an event this year. Not a big event, but he won an event. Carson Young. I mean, I think those are the names for Rookie of the Year, if that's a conversation that we're
let me ask you this question. Eric Cole played great all year, just made cuts everywhere, bunch of top 15s, top 20s. What if Eric Cole wins this week? Is Eric Cole on the Ryder Cup team? He's going to be Rookie of the Year.
Nah, I can't imagine that. I mean, this is it's not a situation like the European team where the back end of their team, they need to hide these guys and maybe potentially take some young guys, in the sense like the Europeans could take one or both Højgaard brothers. They could take Aberg. They could take, some of these other really young guys, but I don't think the U.S. team would ever do that. I think they would definitely take somebody with experience over Eric Cole. There's no way that Zach Johnson is taking Eric Cole over Tony Finau. I mean, it's just not happening. Even if he wins.
I mean, the other thing to consider is you've got guys like Dustin Johnson on LIV. Dustin Johnson has been a staple on the.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Bryson, who shot at 58.
Yeah, Bryson is the other one. I mean, you've got guys on LIV. Obviously, Brooks is an auto because he won the PGA Championship. But again, you've got a couple names on the LIV Tour that it's like, do these guys deserve to be in there? You've got staples like Patrick Reed, and he hasn't been great, but there are names there that you could throw in there. But it feels like Brooks is in because he's automatically in, and everybody else is just out.
Yeah, I can't imagine them going to DJ, even though he's had so much Ryder Cup experience. Just he hasn't played that great this year. He hasn't been that great in the majors. He ejected. I think, what did he shoot, like plus 11 at the British Open a few weeks ago? Yeah, terrible. But the only name that I think could be in potential consideration is Bryson. I mean, Bryson has been playing good golf this year. He showed up in all the majors this year.
Played very well.
Played very well. Just shot 58. I mean, this course that they're playing at in Italy, he could literally bomb and gouge that course to death. So Bryson's the only he has Ryder Cup experience. He was on the winning team 2 years ago. I think Bryson's the only name that could be an X factor from LIV, not DJ or Patrick Reed or any of these other guys. I think Bryson is the only other name that could be a factor. But just given the state of golf right now, I can't imagine them taking a LIV guy over one of these PGA Tour guys.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's probably JT Keegan. I think those are the last two guys in based off of all the criteria. And if our assumptions are that guys like Fowler and those guys are automatically on, I can't see them having Spieth and Fowler and not taking JT. I can't imagine a world where that happens.
If they really want a true unification, a merger of the PGA and the LIV Tour, forget JT, forget all these guys. Just take DJ and Bryson, or Patrick Reed and Bryson on the team.
Yeah, Taylor Gooch has won 3 times on the LIV Tour.
Yeah, Taylor Gooch. Yeah, can you imagine if that happened? Can you imagine if Zach Johnson was like, "Yeah, I think Taylor Gooch and Bryson deserve to be on the team over Justin Thomas"?
There's no way. There's no way that happens.
That'd be so funny, though.
It would. It would definitely leave a lot open for debate. You'd have it. To me, the Ryder Cup, especially when it gets played in Europe, when it's played here, it's different. But when it's played in Europe, it kind of feels a little bit odd. The time we get time delay golf, it's wonky. But if you really wanted to spice it up and get people to pay attention, that's the way to do it, is to be controversial. Take 2 guys from the LIV Tour and piss a bunch of people off, and people will talk about it on sports talk radio. People will tune in, because if those guys play like trash in the event, you'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see. I heard somebody say it, but I could actually see JT potentially playing a couple of DP World Tour events between now and the Ryder Cup. And if he wins one of those and says, hey, look, I won in Europe, I'm the guy that you want to take. I mean, that could be a thing to continue his resume or whatever. But I don't know if that's going to be a thing. But, I could see him potentially doing that.
The only way I could see him doing that is if he calls Zach Johnson or Zach and is like, hey, what do I need to do to be on the team? And Zach's like, bro, you got to go to Europe, and I need to see you win one of those events in Europe before the Ryder Cup. That's the only way I can justify to do it. Then I see him doing it. Outside of that, to me, again, and I could be completely wrong on this, but to me, he's a lock. With Spieth and Fowler, I just don't see how you leave him off.
I feel like with the guys on the team, his boys, and then also just enough of a resume at the Ryder Cup, he has to be on the team. He doesn't deserve to be on the team, but he's going to be on the team.
Yeah, to your point, like this year's been bad, but the guy won a major a year ago. So again, I guess you could make an argument for him that his play justifies it over the 2-year body of work, but as of late, it's not been good. I mean, he just very little signs of life for that dude as of late. Transition a little bit here. The tour dropped the schedule for the 2024 season. So, obviously you and I talked about it off air, but like the swing season kind of is like, I don't know. It's like Corn Ferry 2.0. I'm not really sure what it is.
And there are going to be some ugly fields, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and I mean, typically those are softer fields, but I mean, like we see guys that are in the field this week because they won, and played well over the course of the swing season. And with the new changes in the scoring, the FedEx Cups, like this swing season events basically are like winning the Barracuda or the Barbasol or one of these other like garbage, alt field events where you get like no points, you get status, so you get to be a PGA Tour player for 2.5 years or 5 years or whatever it is, but you don't get any FedEx Cup points, so they're basically meaningless for the rest of the regular season, and the payouts are terrible compared to what they're doing with these signature events. There's now 8 of them. Some of them have cuts, some of them do not. It's going to be an interesting year to see how things kind of transition, but like they keep making these slight alterations to the way the schedule's set up and which events are which. I was actually really surprised the Farmers was not a signature event. Mm-hmm. And where it's positioned, especially the fact that we're going to get another Saturday finish, right? Because I think it's the conference championship weekend. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a primetime finish on a Saturday. Like, why is that not a signature event?
They gave it to Pebble instead. I think Pebble has
let me start this. Pebble is a great event. I love Pebble. It's one of the longest running events on the tour, so I get it. But the fact that you're going to have a pro-am for 2 days and then have like a massive signature event the weekend, like it just feels wonky.
It does. I agree with that, but I think if you're just comparing Pebble and Torrey, I think Pebble has a little bit of quote unquote seniority and more pull than Torrey does. So I think Torrey's going to be a signature event eventually, but I think for this year they're giving it to Pebble because Pebble's just been such a weak spot on the schedule for so long now, and with shitty fields over the last like 5-10 years. Yeah, they just needed something to bump it up, get eyes back on Pebble. I don't mind the pro-am thing on Thursday, Friday. I'm glad they're not doing it for all 4 rounds, and then the Saturday, Sunday are all. So looks like there's gonna be 3 rounds at Pebble and 1 round at Spyglass is how they're gonna do it. So at least they're getting rid of the 3-course rotation there. So I don't mind it. It's fine. I mean, I think it'll be cool. I like Pebble Beach. I think it's a good event, and it'll be nice to have all the big names playing there next year instead of a shitty field like usual.
Yeah, no, I would say this. If any event, and Pebble kind of feels dated, right? Like you mentioned, it was a 3-course rotation. They're trimming it down to 2. But, it felt like nobody was really going to Pebble anymore because of the pro-am aspect. And, the weather's usually kind of trash. The wind is terrible. But now with the payout and it being a signature event, elevated event, whatever you want to call it, we'll get a better field there. And so that is good. I mean, I think there are some events that they need to prop up.
Yeah, I wish they gave Pebble the signature event and they left out Waste Management this year. Like Waste Management was a signature event this year. I wish they did that with the other ones too. Like why does RBC Heritage and Wells Fargo and Travelers get back-to-back years of being a signature event? Why couldn't we have moved those 2 different events so that the big names go and play I can't think of an event off the top of my head. Make John Deere a signature event or something like that. So all the big names go play. I would like to see John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler and all these guys go play those events that have shitty fields. You know what I mean? The Honda Classic. Why couldn't the Honda Classic be one?
Yeah, it would have been nice to see them rotate a few more of those, to your point, to events and courses that we typically don't see them. I think part of it is, I'm sure, the agreement with those title sponsors and making sure that they have enough, what's the word that I'm looking for? Publicity, support from the PGA Tour. And, you named like Wells Fargo, RBC. Those are two of the largest lending institutions in the United States. Travelers, one of the biggest insurance companies in the world. So I think from a corporate structure, maybe they warrant a little more participation from the PGA to keep them happy. But again, you've got events like, the Valero or Valspar or, whatever that we typically see pretty garbage fields. And It feels like they're kind of squeezing these things together around that major season during the middle of the year as well. So again, you can, I guess, you can poke and prod and make whatever kind of assumptions you want to make about why they did what they did with the schedule. But I think next year we'll get some different events. I agree with you, but it feels about the waste management. But I feel like the waste management is kind of its own animal. Like it's become like this thing guys really love playing in and going to, and it's a unique feel. So, maybe they felt like if an event didn't need that, like maybe the farmers and the waste management are kind of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like immune to like field deterioration. But like I get worried about the farmers, man. You've got a signature event up front at the Century, and then the next one is the following week after Farmers for Pebble Beach. And maybe because of proximity, Pebble Beach being up in San Francisco and, Farmers being down in San Diego, maybe a lot of guys end up playing the Farmers as like a tune-up for that event. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, the Farmers Field has been deteriorating a lot over the last couple of years, it seems. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know, but anything else from the schedule? It looks like all the other events that aren't signature events, people are going to be playing to try to get into the signature events. That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, basically they've got these things called like the Swing 10 and the next 5, or the next 10 and the Swing 5, where you can, to your point, you can play your way into the signature event if you play well the week before.
Yeah, so we might get some nicer fields in those. I mean, especially for guys that, like Justin Thomas, for example, he's not qualified for all these signature events. He's going to have to play in these lower level field events so that he can get into them. And people like Adam Scott, Shane Lowry, people that aren't automatically qualified, we might get some good names in those events to try to get them make their way into the signature events moving forward. So I like it. I mean, I don't mind the distribution of events here. I think golf is golf. We're going to watch it every week, no matter what. The more interesting thing that I'm looking forward to is to see what happens the following year when they actually merge LIV and the PGA Tour and see exactly what happens with LIV and if PGA Tour players are going to play on the LIV Tour, if the Tour players, LIV's just going to go away. But yeah, for this next season, it looks like they're going to be two separate entities, PGA Tour and LIV Tour, and then I think in 2025 is when they're going to actually merge back together, and I think at that point LIV is going to be gone for good.
Yeah, I think LIV is gone. I can't imagine a scenario where they can have two professional tours and potentially be losing guys back and forth to events playing. So I think LIV goes away. The only other thing that I'll mention about the schedule that I did notice, which again, I had always kind of taken alt field events that were played the weeks of majors, but there's a number of those alt field events that are being played the week of the signature events. So instead of it being like played the same week as like the US Open or whatever, they're being played the week prior when like the RBC Heritage is happening and you have the Corrales Punta Cana going on at the same time. So they've tried. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I say that looks pretty cool. I kind of like having the alt events not during the majors because I like them just to focus on the majors.
Well, that and the other part of it is because a number of these signature events are capped at like 50, 70 man fields, like you're going to have the top, 50 to 70 guys playing like the RBC Heritage. Well, you've got a whole nother rung of guys who didn't qualify. And so I think some of these subfield events will actually get some pretty strong fields because guys will have a week off, like Cam Davis would never play Corrales Punta Cana, but he may not make it into qualifying for the RBC Heritage based off of how he's played. And he wants an event. He wants to play the following week in another one. So it's a way for him to earn a spot in. So I think we could see some better fields in these subfield events because they're going to be played opposite of a, no cut, trim down field. So that could be an added benefit.
Yeah, I like that. I like your analysis of that. That's a good call. Any new courses this year besides the one in Myrtle Beach? I think Myrtle Beach is the only new course we're going to play this year, right?
Yeah, it's like the Dunes or something like that. The Honda Classic still doesn't have a name. It's just the Classic.
No, it has a name.
It's the Classic in Palm Beach. There's no.
Okay.
There's no sponsor.
That's funny. The Classic.
Yeah, it's just it was the Honda Classic. Now it's just the Classic.
I guess they can get a sponsor, but yeah, I think that's the only new course that we're gonna get is the one in Myrtle Beach. I don't think anything else. I mean, besides the RBC Canadian Open going back to Hamilton, but we've seen that course before. Yep. Everything else looks pretty straightforward. The BMW Championship is going to be in Colorado. I can't remember the last time.
Oh yeah, that is new. That is a new course, Castle Pines Golf Course. They also have opposite the Scottish Open an alt-field event that is now open to TBA. So we could potentially see a brand new event that week as well too.
Yeah, I wonder what that's going to be. Is that going to be an event, alt event in Europe or alt event in America? I don't know. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that had traditionally been the Barbasol, I think, is the one that was played opposite that. Or maybe it was the Barracuda. No, because the Barracuda is being played the same week as the Open. So, yeah, I think it was the Barbasol that was played opposite the Scottish.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I get all those alt events confused, but
So it looks like the Barbasol's gone, which was played in Louisville. So maybe we see a new event, a new course that week that the Genesis is being played over in Scotland.
Maybe it'll be something in Temecula.
Yeah, go play Journey, dude. Like they'll light that place up, dude. If they played Journey, they'd shoot like 19 under the first day.
Yeah.
So
all right, man. Let's get into the FedEx.
Let's do it. Let's talk the first leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Let me see if I can get the right screen here. Oh, that's not right. There it is. See, out of practice. The FedEx St. Jude last year was played with a cut. Basically, previously, the last 4 or 5 years prior to that, it was a WGC or a non-cut event. So last year was the first year that we saw guys actually miss the cut. It was a 125-man field. But this year, it's trimmed down to 70. It's the first leg of the playoffs. And so we've got a stacked field, dude. Top of the board is all of the names that you would suspect. There is nobody taking this week off. Everyone is in because it is the top 70 in ties of the FedEx Cup. I think it's another reason why they made the change is you would see typically this first leg of the playoffs, like a lot of guys would just take this week off. They're like, I'm in next week because I'm already inside the top whatever, but this is a signature or an elevated event. It's big money. The winner takes home almost $4 million. And so we've got Scheffler, McIlroy, Rahm, and all the favorites above at the top of the board. Who do you like here, man? Obviously, Rory's from a course history perspective, played very well. You can't argue with the form with him coming in, but who do you like here at the top of the board?
Above 10K, I actually think I want to roll with Jon Rahm this week. I think his course history is pretty good. 5th place finish last year, 7th place finish back in 2019, coming up off of a runner-up finish in his last time out. Yeah, man, I really think that what was it, the Friday round or the Saturday round at the Open where he shot eight under was really impressive. I think if Brian Harman didn't exist, that Jon Rahm would have easily taken that major championship. I think he's playing great golf right now. Good course history here. I think above 10K, Rahm's my guy. Scheffler, it's hard to ever say anything bad about Scheffler, but his string of top 5 finishes finally ended at the Open Championship. Maybe he just has difficulty playing the links courses. I don't know, but he did miss the cut here last year, so I'm not too keen on Scotty Scheffler or Rory at the moment. Rory, obviously, he won the Scottish Open, played well at the Open Championship, but we know he's a good links player to begin with. He also missed the cut here last year. So out of those three guys, I think I'm rolling with Rahm. He's the cheapest this week. Ownership's not going to be a major distinguishing factor in between those three. I'd rather take Rahm, who I think is the best play out of those three. Below that, I really like, and I usually never really say this, I really like Jordan Spieth this week. 9,300.
He's been catching steam.
Yeah, he's been catching some steam, but still his ownership is not going to be too high, because the chalkiest guy on this entire graphic here, I think, is going to be Ricky Fowler at 9,500. Ricky Fowler coming in off playing wonderful golf, obviously, decent course history here. But Jordan Spieth, he hit the ball well at the Open Championship. He has good course history here, a couple of 12th place finishes 2 out of the last 4 years. I like Spieth this week, man. He's the highest odds player here. Like he has the best odds as far as value goes. I'm seeing like 35 and maybe even 38 to 1 on him, which is pretty remarkable for someone who I think can easily win this tournament. So I like Spieth this week. So for me, I think it's Rahm, Spieth. And then after that, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to distinguish between any of these guys. I would like to say Cantlay at 9,800 seems like a good price for him, but the guy just hasn't won anything this year. Like,
Yeah.
When have we had a season when Patrick Cantlay isn't winning an event? But it is cash season now. This is the FedEx Club playoffs are cash season. It is cash season, and Patrick Cantlay loves cash. So, I don't mind Cantlay this week. So those are probably my three guys up there. What about you?
I tend to agree with you above 10K with Rahm. It's hard to walk away from that. He played really well in the Open. I feel like the narrative that I kind of threw out there from a ball striker's perspective, it's hard for me to get away from Xander. He just, for all the things that you mentioned about Cantlay, you can kind of lay over. Those two guys seem to be the same guy, where they never contend to win, but they just continually finish top 15, top 10. So I like Xander up here. Hatton is the guy that I think of all of these guys, when you talk about like that trending narrative, just waiting for the win, like he's just played fantastically over the course of this year, and he just hasn't gotten his win. If you look just at like his recent history, what he's done, he finished top 20 at the Open. He finished top 10 at the Scottish. He finished top 30 in the U.S. Open, 3rd at the RBC Canadian, 12th at the Memorial, 15th at the PGA Championship, 5th at the Byron Nelson, 3rd at the Wells Fargo. Like, he's just been there, and he just has not gotten over the threshold. The other part about it for me, why I like him this week, is the ball striking has been immaculate. And the other part of it is he is one of those few guys who can putt very, very well. Like he's been gaining over his last 5 events, 4.5 strokes putting versus the field. So, not that this course, to kind of the lead up that we talked about, that this is ever a putting contest, but, give me a guy who actually is pretty good at putting, when I'm used to having, Will Z or Hideki or one of these guys standing over a 4-footer. And I'm like, the opportunity for this guy to make this is probably less than, 30% that he actually drains this thing. So I like
that's Scotty Scheffler. That's Scotty Scheffler now.
yeah, exactly. Scotty Scheffler. Yeah. But I like Hatton and Xander above 9K. What about Fleetwood?
What about him?
I know that he doesn't win, but he's been playing so well, dude. Like, he just continues to play very, very well. And I think the Open Championship was kind of the perfect explanation. If you want to sum up Tommy Fleetwood, like in one round of golf, go watch Sunday at the Open Championship. It was like when it got down into crunch time and he needed to make a move, he did nothing. Couldn't
make a birdie. I think he had nothing but pars and maybe 1 or 2 birdies on Sunday. So yeah, man. It's a different beast, though. I never have a problem trusting Tommy Fleetwood overseas on links courses, but I have trouble, trusting him on American courses besides Florida courses. I think he's a really good Florida player, but when it comes to courses like this, he doesn't have great history here. He had a 4th place finish here in 2019, sure, but after that, 35th and a 46th, nothing to take home there. So
Yeah.
I think I'd rather get the extra couple $100 and get to Spieth or to get the Fowler there. I really like the Hatton call. Now that I think about it, the guy has been an absolute beast in elevated events this year.
Yep.
When there's a top prize over $3 million, he's in the mix, and he's
He just won $1 million last week, by the way. I don't know if you saw that, but for like one of those Aon, like go for it, like $1 million deals, like guys who are, it was like a risk reward deal that the PGA
nice.
Tour puts on every year. And
Nice.
there was somebody in the field at the Wyndham who didn't execute on like a going for the green on a par 5. And because he missed the green, Terrell Hatton won $1 million for the year. Like it was like this crazy thing. It was like, hey, he just won $1 million. He's not even playing, but he won $1 million.
He didn't even play.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, congratulations, Taylor. Here's $1 million.
Man, good for him, man. I like that call. Who do you like more between Cantlay and Hatton at that exact price range? I mean, I think I'm starting to lean more towards Hatton after you talked me into it.
I mean, the thing with Hatton is his ownership is really like spiky. Like one week he'll be like 5%, the next week he'll be 25%, and Cantlay is just consistently like 12 to 15% every single week. So I think it's really going to come down to ownership. We're doing this on a Tuesday. Obviously, lock is tomorrow, and ownership will mature. But I think a lot of it for me is going to come down to ownership, because I think both guys have pretty good win equity. Like I would feel pretty comfortable with either guy if they were in contention.
Okay. I'll roll with that then. So, I don't really have much else from up here. I'm not really interested in Hovland or Morikawa, even though they've been playing good golf. Not really my type of cup of tea there. I think I'd rather go to the guys that I mentioned up there. But yeah, I think Spieth has a good chance to win this week. I think that's going to be like my first click as far as bets go.
It's interesting if Fowler's going to be chalky and Spieth seems to be gaining steam. That's two guys at 95 and 93. That would tend to make me believe that Fleetwood, Morikawa, and potentially Hatton would go underowned because of just squeeze with those two guys being what I would imagine is the second man in. If Fowler and Spieth are going to be super popular, I don't know if Spieth is. We talked about Fowler. I expect him to be popular.
I'm looking at Fantasy National right now, and this is on a Tuesday. Yeah, I'm seeing 19.4% for Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth at 8.8%.
Okay, so that's low.
That's low. And then Fleetwood and Morikawa also both coming in right around 15 to 16%. So I think Spieth is the one getting squeezed.
Spieth is a squeeze, yeah. That's a boom bust play. Like if you're, we talk about it all the time. Like if you're in a GPP and you're looking for the edge, like Jordan Spieth could be the edge that week. And there's no more boom bust player than Jordan Spieth.
There absolutely is not. He could easily, he's not going to miss the cut, but he could finish 70th or he could finish first.
Yep. I like it. Next tier here. We've got some guys, good mix of guys with some good course history, guys coming in hot. And then guys that just seem to be forgotten. You've got two major champions in this range that have won this year. But who do you like here? I've been seeing a lot of buzz around Sam Burns, which, he finished, I think, second here 2 years ago and 20th last year when it was a cut event. So he's got some good course history. Hideki has the best course history as a first and a second here in the last 4 or 5 years. He didn't play in the event last year, took a year off, but he's just been phenomenal here. I think Finau, has Finau won this event too?
No, he's not won this event.
Not this one, yeah. But so we've got some good guys. Day's got good course history, but the form is terrible. I don't know. Like, who do you like in this range? Because I feel like this is the area where we're going to see this is the ownership desert is in this 8K range. Like no one, you're going to see to me, the highest owned guy is probably going to end up being like 12%. And then everybody else is going to be like sub 8.
Yeah. I'm just going to keep rolling with him, man. This guy's been literally, if you just take away Rahm and Scheffler and Rory, he's probably been the 4th best player on tour this year. And that's Wyndham Clark at 8,500. I mean,
he has been great, dude.
It's really hard to take anything away from him. He's been playing just top tier golf. He deserves to be a lock on the Ryder Cup team. He deserves to be a major championship. He won an elevated event earlier this year. He's been playing really, really good golf this year. What did he do at the Open? 33rd, not bad. He's not a great links player, I don't know, but I like him this week. I also like Fitz right above him, 8,600. Fitz's course history has 3 top 6 finishes in the last 4 years here, which is really impressive. So I think this is a really good course fit for Fitz. Those are my 2 guys in this range. No one else really appeals to me here. Finau had a 5th place finish here last year, so that's pretty good. Homa has really bad course history here. I don't like him at all. Nothing better than a 42nd place finish here. Hideki, like you said, but Hideki did play really bad. Was it last week or what? Yeah, last week, right?
He missed the cut last week.
Yeah, pretty bad. So I'm a little scared of that form coming in. Harman coming off of a major win, I don't see it right now, and no one else really is appealing to me. So for me, it's like Fitz and Clark, and everyone else might be much of a fade for me.
Yeah, I mean, Hideki in particular, like when you look at the numbers, the ball striking has basically been back. Like he's striking the ball like Hideki does. Unfortunately, he's been putting like Hideki does. And last week, the dude lost 6 strokes around the green versus the field. So I don't know if he chipped one into the water or what happened, but he actually chipped his way out of the tournament last week, which is fairly atypical for him. He's not the best short game player, but putting is traditionally his weakness. The one thing that I would say about this course that scares me a little with the chipping performance is this is a course that has very, very small greens. And so the green regulation percentage is typically much lower than the normal week on the PGA Tour. So proximity and those things will be important. And if you're not going to be putting the ball close, like you need to be able to chip. And if he's going to lose 6 strokes putting around the green, that raises some red flags. Again, that is an outlier performance in a negative way. So the likelihood that he does that again this week is low. But it could, I would say if I'm going to take a risk on anybody in this range, it's probably Hideki. My first click on the betting card this week was Sam Burns. I got up in the morning, clicked him at 40-1 on Monday, and then proceeded to hear everybody talk about Sam Burns. And so I would say those 2 guys are probably my favorite. The other guy that's kind of a flyer for me, and I mentioned him off the jump, is Jason Day. Day's played very, very well at this course traditionally. Missed the cut last year, but he was absolutely god-awful last year. He has turned that around. The form has not been great, but he did play well at the Open Championship. So I think if you're going to take a risk on somebody, my gut would be no one's going to be playing Jason Day, and that might be a move at 8,900 if you're willing to take a chance.
Okay. I'm not a Jason Day guy.
I am not either.
So I don't think I could get there with him. I have a little interest in Cam Young. He's actually been playing, bad missed cut at the 3M, but he was coming off of a good finish at the Open Championship the week before, flying all the way from England to Minnesota. I can give him a break for that, but he did play well the week before at the John Deere. I think his game is coming around a little bit, especially for some of those bubble guys that we were talking about for the Ryder Cup team. I think Cam Young could be a little sneaky play this week.
I think if Cam Young can make his way into next week, I like Cam Young a lot to win next week.
What is he at? Do we know what his FedEx standing is?
That is a great question. That is something that we can look up very quickly via the internet. Let's take a look here. FedEx Cup. And current standings, I can't imagine that he's too high because he hasn't really done anything this year.
What is it, top 50 get into the BMW?
Top 50, yes. So Cam Young, let's see, top 30 into the Tour Championship.
He's 48th right now, so he would have to play pretty bad this week, and some other guys would have to move up ahead of him for him to miss out on next week. So
yeah, if he finishes top 30 this week, he's probably in for next week.
Yeah, for sure.
So I love Cameron Young for next week as a bet.
Where is the BMW Championship next week?
I think it's being played in the Northeast, if I'm not mistaken. BMW. See, now you got me like doing all this stuff. I'm not prepared. The BMW. It's being actually played at Olympia Fields in Illinois.
That was the famous. Wasn't that the famous Rom versus DJ situation when DJ made a long putt and then Rom put one in right on top of him?
That's right.
Yeah, that was a good event. I love that event.
Yeah, no, it's a great course. So I don't know. I like that course setup. To your point, like it's going to favor bombers. It's going to favor guys who are very good, like elite drivers of the golf ball, and that's Cam Young's weapon. Even through this stretch where he hasn't been great, like he's still been driving the ball really, really well.
Okay. I'll hold off until next week to play him then.
What about your boy Frodo Harmon? He's been playing great, dude. The guy's been red hot, and he's got a little break. He's coming in like he's coasting right now. But like, what about Harmon at 8,300?
Harmon at 8,300. That's a
I know.
tough click. He did
major champion Brian Harmon,
third place finish here last year. So yeah, man.
He likes this track. He plays well here.
You think he can ride that momentum into this week?
I ain't playing him, dude. I ain't playing that. I ain't playing that little goofball.
How mad are you going to be if he wins again this week?
Dude, if he won this week, here's my problem. If Brian Harmon wins this week, I will get a T-shirt made that says Brian Harmon's #1 fan, and I'll wear it at least 5 times on the show next year.
All right, sounds good. All right, yeah,
I can't stand that dude.
I think I'm out on Harmon also this week. I need that.
Right. Dropping down into the next tier, like we still got a bunch of dudes, man. These guys, I mean, top best 70 players. We got a guy that just won here last week, and a number of names that are very, very good. Seb Straka, my boys here, been playing great this year. Keegan Bradley, two-time winner on tour this year. There's some guys where I guess the first question is, where's ownership kind of pooling? Because like I said, I think a lot of people are going to go one of Scheffler, Rahm, Rory, and then another guy in that range. And so I think this 7K range is going to be ridiculously popular. And so that means you're going to get a lot of duped guys played in lineups. But who do you like down here?
It's kind of weird that there's no 7,900 guys.
I know, it is weird.
It's looking like Lucas Glover is actually getting the most ownership at this moment in this range. That might be auto fade territory coming off of a win. It's hard to deny his form. I mean, take away
unbelievable.
First, fifth, sixth, fourth, and with a miscut squeezed in there between. Third place finish here last year. He seems like the perfect play, but we always say the perfect play. This is game theory coming off of a win. If he's going to be chalky, it might be a good time to fade Lucas Glover here. So I don't know. He seems to be the chalky guy, and everyone else seems to be pretty flat around him with some low ownership guys in the form of Keegan is coming in low owned.
I love Keegan.
Tigala is coming in low owned. And looks like Siwoo Kim and like Cam Davis are also coming in low owned. I like Keegan too. I think if we're gonna get a cheap Keegan, cheap Keegan at 7,700, and also a low owned Keegan in an event where, like we just talked about with Cam Young, trying to maybe get a win to get his spot locked up on the Ryder Cup team. I like Keegan. I think 7,700 is a good price for him. Give me all the Keegan.
Yeah. What about two other lower owned guys in terms of projections right now that probably no one is going to play? But again, remember, this is a no cut event. So you're getting 6 guys through unless somebody withdraws, right? A la Cam Champ a couple weeks ago. Yeah. What about Killer Keith Mitchell, who had been playing really well, found out he was in the FedEx Cup, pulled out of the tournament, or Taylor Moore, who's won already once this year?
Between those two guys, I think I'd rather go to Killer Keith. I mean, Killer Keith has been kind of boomer bust, and that's kind of what you're asking for out of a $7,100 guy. Nothing to really be happy about as far as course history goes. There's nothing but 30th place finishes here. Yeah. But out of $7,100 guy, you're not asking much more than that. Maybe a top 20 finish. So I think Keith Mitchell's a good play. I think he could easily come in top 20 here. I don't mind Cam Davis either. I'm a Cam Davis guy. You're a Cam Davis guy. So you got to agree with me here. 7,200 for Cam Davis, coming in low owned, 13th place finish here last year, coming in off of 2 top 10 finishes his last 2 times out. Give me some Cam Davis at 7,200 also.
I like the Cam Davis call. Again, we talked about a ball striker's paradise. Like you got to be able to do that, and this is absolutely this course, and that's who he is. Little interesting thing on both Cam Davis and Keith Mitchell. Both guys currently outside the top 50. They need to play their way into next week, which means both guys are going to have to probably have a top 25 finish in order to make their way into next week's field.
Yep.
So
You might want to look into that when you're making lineups this week. The guys that are outside the top 50 that need to get in and with a good finish. So definitely a motivating factor. Everyone's motivated. I get that. Everyone's trying to make their way to Eastlake, but especially those guys outside the top 50. One other name I forgot to mention. I've been playing him every week, pretty much this whole season. Bet on at 7,500. I like his game, man. Like he's been playing good golf. Over the course of the last 5 to 6 months, he's been playing good golf. He had a real shot to win last week. He just made a couple mistakes on Sunday and Saturday that cost him the tournament. So give me all the bet on, and I think he's going to play well this week. He also did the thing that Lucas Glover did. I mean, he changed his putter to the broomstick putter, and he seems to have improved his putting. So he's a good TD Green player. He's long off the tee. His chipping is amazing. He's just one of those guys that was a bad putter, just like Lucas Glover, and he seems to have turned that around a little bit.
Yeah, the only thing that scares me with Ben On is just ownership's creeping, right? Like Glover's the clear chalk in this range,
Right.
but Ben On's really close behind him. Like I agree with everything you said. I talked about how you're going to need to be a good chipper of the golf ball because the greens are small and you're not going to hit every green. He is one of the best, so I can't argue with any of that. I just I worry about a chalky Ben An. That's the only thing for me.
Yep.
The other guy that I'll throw out there, and again, he has not been good. He rallied back to have a pretty good second day, even though he missed the cut at the Open. And he's had 3 missed cuts in a row at the U.S. Open, the Scottish Open, and the Open Championship, is Justin Rose. Up until that little run, he had been, fantastic. And it's just, I don't know, maybe it's something with Opens. He doesn't do well with Opens, but he's he kind of played trash the last 3 events. But again, the ball striking continues to be very, very good. I don't know if we're getting the Justin Rose that we had like the first 8 weeks of the season, the guy that's been there the last 3. But again, another boomer bust guy that probably nobody's going to own. Grillo right behind him, another absolutely ball striking freak. Got his win after trending for weeks. So I like Grillo as well too. But I don't know, man. I like the Cashmere Keith call, dude. Keith Mitchell, other than Patrick Cantlay, nobody loves Cash more than Cashmere Keith Mitchell. So I like him at 7,100.
Okay. We talked a lot about the U.S. Ryder Cup team earlier. We didn't talk about the European team at all. But I do think that Justin Rose is one of those. I think he has a spot on the team. I'm pretty sure they're going to take Justin Rose on the team. But it wouldn't hurt him to have a couple good finishes here down the stretch to really lock up his spot on the team. Same as Sub Straka at 7,700. I
was going to say Straka and Yager are 2 guys. If Yager was to win this event, he's probably on the Ryder Cup. That shows you how weak to your point earlier, how weak the back half of Europe is Steven Yager could win this week and he's on the Ryder Cup team.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that if we do a show next week to see who's on the European team. But yeah, I agree. You got to look at some of those European names that for the back half of that team, and 3 of them are in this range with Straka, Yager, and Justin Rose.
Yeah, I like it. Again, motivation. I like the call. Getting down to the dumpster. It's not the dumpster this week, dude. There's some legitimate plays down here. And most of these guys, kind of like we mentioned about Keith Mitchell, are going to have to play their way into next week if they want to get in. It's a no-cut event, so they're going to get 4 rounds, so they're going to need to go low. Eric Cole kind of heads it off at 6,900. I think everybody loves Eric Cole. Everybody's going to be playing Eric Cole. But some names like my boy Vince Norman. I love me some Vince Norman. Vince Norman is 6,700. Lee Hodges, the other guy that we talked about, who'd kind of been trending for a while and then finally got his win at the 3M. He's right there. Adam Schenk is another one of those guys, just been playing fantastically over kind of the last 6 to 8 weeks. Yep. All miscut, I think, last week here, or maybe the week before. But there are names down here, dude. And again, because you're getting 4 rounds, if you're going to be going, Rom Spieth to start your lineups, you're going to have to grab somebody down here in the 6Ks. And I think there's a lot of options. Who do you like down here?
I like the Lee Hodges call coming off of a win. 13th place finish here last year. I like the Eric Cole call, obviously playing good golf. We're going to get 4 rounds out of him. Sneaky play, I think, this week is Andrew Putnam at 6,400.
Love me some Andrew Putnam.
Yeah, he's played here 3 out of the last 5 years. He didn't play here in 2022 and 2021, but in 2019 he had a second place finish. In 2020 he had a 24th place finish, and last year he had a 5th place finish. He's just a cut maker. He hasn't missed a cut in forever. I like me some Andrew Putnam at 6,400. I think
he's not going to miss the cut this week either. I can tell you, I can guarantee it.
Not going to miss the cut this week. I see a lot of people trending towards Alex Smalley, which I get. He's been playing good golf recently, so I don't mind that Alex Smalley call. He didn't make the cut here last year, so I'd have to delve a little bit deeper into Alex Smalley if I was to click that name. But like the Norman call, he obviously won a few weeks ago. Patrick Rogers has been playing okay golf. And at the bottom of the low 6K range, we definitely still have some names. Nick Taylor literally won the Canadian Open last 2 months ago. Ben Griffin's always my guy. He's the 78th man into the FedEx Cup, so he's obviously trying to play well to get himself into BMW next week. And yeah, man, I mean, this range definitely has some names that we can click on. Brendan Todd coming in good form, a 7th and a 2nd place finish, 2 out of his last 3 events. Yeah, man, there's definitely some names on here. Kurt Kitayama at 6,400. He won an elevated event earlier this year. I don't mind that either. I mean, that's definitely could go stars and scrubs this week and fill out your roster and be confident with some of these guys.
What about one of the oldest players in the field? He's coming in sub 3% ownership right now in terms of projections, but he has played very well here over the years. He has, I think, 4 out of his last 5. He's made the cut here. He has a couple top 20 finishes. He's at $6,600. Matt Kuchar, 3 straight made cuts coming in.
Nah, not for me.
I love how you just, because I don't think anybody's going to play him because they'd rather play Spawn or Hubbard. Like, I would rather play Spawn or Hubbard too. But I looked at him like, dude, the guy plays well at this course.
I always have trouble clicking Matt Kuchar's name because he's
Is it because, dude, you want to talk about a guy that loves cash? He wants just a caddy because he loves cash so much.
He definitely loves cash, but he just I don't know, man. I just don't see him.
He missed the cut last year.
He's so boring.
He is, but I mean, again, 2% ownership. What's the difference between him and Patrick Rogers?
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or Adam Shank, or Tom Hoagie, or anything. I'm just trying to think.
All right, I'll play Matt Kuchar in one lineup this week, and
there you go. Yeah, watch. He's going to finish top 5. Matt Kuchar, top 5. That's the move.
Lee Hodges, I think, is the best play down here.
I mean, that makes sense. He's coming in as the most heavily owned guy. He's off a win. All of the things that he does well. I mean, he pounds the ball off the tee. He's pretty good on approach. He's decent around the greens. All that makes sense, right? And we saw it all come together at the 3M. So, I fully support it. I'm a Lee Hodges guy. I missed the win after betting him, 9 weeks in a row at 100-1 or above. And then the week he wins, I didn't bet him. Hey, it is what it is. But I like Lee Hodges. Nick Hardy, you want to talk about a guy who can't putt. That dude can't putt to save his life. So maybe some Nick Hardy sprinkle there at 6,500.
All right. Man, did Taylor Montgomery get into this field just because of his early season performance?
Yes. Oh, dude, Neesmith, him, Hayden Buckley, Davis Riley, Sam Stevens, all these guys are in because of the swing season stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Mac Hughes? When did Mac Hughes win? He got a win this year.
Who?
Mac Hughes did. Where did he get his win at? Some god-awful.
Somewhere in the fall. I think
Sanderson Farms. I think that's when he won at Sanderson Farms.
Yeah. Davis Riley got a win in Zurich with the team event with Nick Hardy.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. You got a bunch of these guys who are in because of the swing season stuff. So, it is what it is. Sam Ryder, 6,000. I could see that. I like me some Sam Ryder.
He always can get hot. He makes a lot of birdies.
Yeah, which is what you need here in terms of DraftKings. But
right.
The one and done, I feel like Chris has got it pretty much locked up.
Yeah, Chris has it locked up. He hit Brooks at the PGA, and he hit Scotty Scheffler at the Players, and that pretty much won him the year. I still have a chance to catch him in second place, but I definitely need him to get a low number and me a high number this week for sure.
Yeah, you basically need to hit a winner, and he needs to get the dude that finishes beyond 50.
I need his guy to withdraw.
Yeah, exactly. Is Kevin not playing this week? Or Jason Day? Have him take Jason Day. Then there's a high withdrawal probability.
Yeah. All right, man.
I think that's going to do it. Like I said, Sam Burns, my only click really this week so far. I'll probably add a couple more in that range. I like the Spieth call. I might take a look and see how that number matures. But right now, the only thing I got is Burns on the card at 40. So, I guess join the Discord and we'll post our bets there. We're going to see a return to the tidbits this week.
Yeah, I'll be back at it this week for sure.
All right, perfect. So Rik will give his weekly breakdown, kind of recapping everything and kind of final ownership and weather for the week. Good luck to everybody out there for the first leg of the FedEx Cup. This will probably be our last show. We might do one next week. I'm not really sure. But remember to subscribe to the Nickel City Mafia channel. We're getting into football season. The guys are going to be doing more and more Bills content, fantasy football content. Rik and I are probably going to be sporadically doing golf as we kind of get into the back half of this year. But we may do some other stuff with the other guys. Football content is always fun to do. I don't know as much as you guys do, but I enjoy talking about it. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get involved.
All righty. Sounds good.
All right, man. Have a good night. Good luck, everybody, this week. Join the Discord, subscribe, and we will see you guys later. Peace out, Rik.
All right. See ya.